welcome to African Student Voices. We always inform to transform society, and the youth of Africa are really on the heart of this show to always find ways to transform our lives and make us the best of this continent. You know, agric is the backbone of the continent. No, much of the revenue Africa contributes, our owns for itself, is contributed by agriculture. So why are we not doing our best to get the youth into it? So today's show, we're looking at modernizing agriculture to attract the youth. The question is, what exactly is going on? Or what have we not done in agric that the youth haven't noticed to rush into it? Today, I have my guest with me, and we're going to speak to it. Why are we not making it attractive for the youth? Don't go anywhere. You have to be involved. We'll be right back.
Accra Institute of Technology is a top-notch private university in Ghana. The university offers world-class bachelor's, master's, and PhD degree programs.
IT and management is one of the good courses I think we should offer these days, because I realized that on my years of experience on the IT field, I realized that IT guys find it very difficult to cope with the management aspect. And AIT is giving us the opportunity to do IT and management. We dive into what? Programming. I did HR, I did principal management, and all this one is giving me the opportunity to be able to communicate with my manager. So when we are talking about IT, I know that I'm talking about something technical, and I can also talk about management, which is also another dimension of corporate institution. So with all this, I think AIT is giving us a very nice opportunity.
We are AIT, the University of the Future.
African Student Voice on AUTV, as we always say, that we want to inform you to transform. Today we're discussing modernizing agriculture in Africa to attract the youth. And with me in the studio is one of my favorite guests who've always been on the show. And the first man is Mr. Samuel Ogonkoya Adebayo, President of the National Association of Nigerian Students in Ghana. And I have with me the Women's Commissioner of the Private University Students Association of Ghana, Mrs. Joyce Asuma. Nice people, you're welcome to African Student Voices.
Thank you.
Great. Today's topic, I wouldn't say it's controversial, but it's really important. Every youth out there watching the show wants to hear the points made clear. The African leaders making the policy right clear. Agric matters to every youth in Africa. But is Agric ready to attract the youth? That is the question. Because we've been in the universities, but we're not getting employed. We wish we could be flexible to enter agric. But the question is agric ready to receive us? So let's start with the first question. Ade, I want to be with you with the issue of how attractive should agric be for the young graduates in Africa today?
First of all, thanks for having me. The issue of agriculture, like you said, it's a very, very important issue. And to me, in my opinion, of all the sectors that we have in our economy, I think one of the three important sectors is agriculture, health, and education. Although the other sectors are equally important, but the priority should be agriculture. There's nothing you can do without agriculture because, like I always say, everybody eats.
Sure.
There are some things that you are not privileged to do because of your status in the society. But food has no status. Everybody eats. Whatever we eat might be different, but everybody eats.
Sure.
And agriculture goes beyond just food. Whatever we are sitting on right now, they are product of agriculture. Yes. Without the trees, we can't have furniture. So, and you ask the questions that even, let's assume that our youths are ready for agriculture. Is agriculture ready to receive us?
Exactly.
Yeah. Unfortunately, agriculture is not ready to receive us, especially in this part of the world. I can ask a direct question right now that if you are a graduate of agriculture, which company, can you mention 5 companies that can employ you in this country? Can I mention 5 in Nigeria? Is there any company that has fully industrialized agriculture on a large scale that is ready to receive graduates? Or we just have petty farmers, or we just have, all kinds of people that call themselves agricultural businessmen and women, but we don't really know what they are actually doing that is ready to receive the students. So that question remains to be answered. I'm not sure agriculture is ready to receive our young graduates. And I'm sure as the program goes on, we are going to detail some of these reasons. and then we can see way forward.
Sure. Joyce, it's the same question. Is Agric in Africa ready for the graduates? Because we are ready.
Okay, I can say it is partly ready.
Okay.
Yes, and my reason is there are opportunities that have been made available, but the youth are not aware about it.
Okay.
When you talk about the tax aspect, Agric is the only sector that tax has been exempted,
Okay.
and some even pay 1% of tax.
Okay.
If the youth out there knows about this, that even if I make billions of money, I wouldn't pay tax on this particular product.
Okay.
They will go for it. But they are not aware. And so it is up to, the noise making of the sector to attract the youth to it. So it's partly ready, not fully ready to accommodate the youth. Yeah.
So now come back to this question. How can we help make things easier for the youth out there? Let's break it down. Entering into agriculture calls for a number of factors to be met. Land acquisition, training, harvesting, machines, equipment.
Marketing.
The youth say, or say the African youth, as the larger population stay unemployed, 29.1 million of African youth, getting to 31.1 million in 2019. That's the figures, and it's rising as time goes on. And they are all relying on official corporate jobs, neglecting agriculture. What developments should we find there? Maybe we are not seeing something new over there. What is happening that we are not seeing?
Thank you. You also mentioned that there are things we need to do like training, acquisition of lands and co. But if I also want to talk about the aspect of youth, my colleagues, which I'm also a student.
Sure.
I think we are raising a generation of youth that believes that once you finished your studies and you bagged a certificate, which is a paper,
Sure.
everybody owes you money. Nobody owes you money.
Okay.
You need to be able to show the society that I've been in university for 4 years, I've been in university for 5 years. These are my capabilities before you are ready for a job. So I think the youth kind of needs to get that rightly. Yeah, no certificate. There's no certificate in this part of the world, in any part of the world itself, that says that you are now a graduate, everybody should not give you a job. No. It shows that you've gone to school to learn a particular thing. So let's talk about the youth now who have gone to school to learn agriculture. We all know basic challenges of agriculture in this part of the world. Infrastructure, we all complain about it. How do I transport my things from the rural area to the urban area?
Yeah.
Even how do I acquire lands? Land acquisition in Africa, it's really, really tough. I have known of, I got to know of a land litigation case recently that has been in the system. It has been in the court since 1992. The person told me that. Since 1992. So that kind of a case, if a young man wanted to acquire land in 1992, and the case of the land has been in court since then, by now the man will be in poverty.
Exactly.
So land issue is a problem. Basic infrastructure is a problem.
Sure.
Access to fund is a problem. So all these issues we need to kind of analyze them. Okay, how do we move forward? And this has to be subjective. I'm not sure. We know we have a lot of common problems like in Ghana, in Kenya, in Nigeria, but there are some problems that are kind of peculiar to Ghana.
Yeah.
Some problems that are peculiar to Nigeria.
Yeah.
Probably moving agricultural product from Kano to Lagos in Nigeria might be easier, but I'm not sure moving agricultural product from Tamale to Accra is that easy as well. So we need to kind of subject these solutions. But unfortunately, in Africa, we all just gathered within an ecosystem and we just analyze uniform solutions to problems that are quite kind of different in different countries.
So let's take it from the value chain aspect. You know, the African graduates want to say that I've been in university for a number of years. Even I did science, I did finance, I did accounting, I did administration, all that. My field should be the corporate environment, but I realize that it's choke over there. So I need to diversify into something new that could actually earn me a lifetime, which is Agric, a very timeless joint or sector. The question is, we find that when I now enter agriculture, I'm not going to use all these old or third generation means of farming, the cutlass, the baskets. Has there been any conscious effort to transform the agri sector as at now, to now get to a level where technology plays a role? And what happens there?
Oh, yes. technology plays a great role because, you know, it comes up with machineries and other systems that help in dealing things easily. And agric is not far from that as well. You know, when I was reading the last time and I came across IBM and Nairobi coming up with systems that can help easily identify soil and problems in the soil. And so you don't have to waste your time planting where it is not necessary or where you will not yield anything. And, you know, we have drone also. South Africa, I was reading that the drone, the farmer will sit at the comfort of his home and have the drone watch over his farmland. You know, that makes it attractive, meaning that you don't have to wake up every day going to the farm to check the status of your farm. Some also have means of spraying, you know, water on the crops without any hard labor.
Sure.
And so if one is ready to dive deep into it, there are mechanisms in place that will make the sector flexible. Unlike previous time in the olden days where you have to sweat to get it done, the work done, or your crops yield fruit for you. No. But this time, because of technology, there are easy ways of getting the crops, you know, readily available for you to make your profit. That is why even in the US, they have city farms. Why? Because there are mechanisms, there are systems that is making planting fruits in something small, not in the soil, in the air, yet it grows.
Yeah, vertical farming.
Exactly. And so you have to learn and dive deep into it to get this easy way out, for you to get your things done and make money out of it.
You know, many years ago, somewhere in 1963, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah created the state farms then. It works in Europe. We have state farms, farms which are specially made for young graduates who want to enter farming, to have a place created for their accommodation, where they'll be trained, where they'll be visiting the farms usually regularly, and also fit in the commercializing aspect of the farm produce. But this idea died in Africa so many years ago. Yeah. There's a question, what happened to our state farms? Do you think there's a reason we, the youth, look out for these enhanced packages in our agric to get us fully involved?
Yeah, I think decades back, I would say in less than 100 years ago in Africa, there was no oil, at least no oil on an industrial scale. And I remember before the fossil oil, Nigeria used to export palm oil on an industrial scale. And everybody, you leave university, you're into agricultural aspect of that, you export oil. There are a lot of, big companies that kind of deal solely on palm oil. Then the fossil oil came. Then everybody became a petrol engineer, diesel, and this and that. So I think it's a mind shift. The Nkrumah leadership saw something valuable in agriculture and realized that no country can be truly independent if you can't feed your people. China used to be dependent on U.S. food, U.S. this, and any time there is a crisis, U.S. have to decide how many Chinese eats food and things. India used to have a serious problem with food shortage and co. But India sat down and says, listen, we can't truly call ourselves an independent nation if we do not feed our nation.
Sure.
China, you have to feed your nation. US, you have to feed your nation. But in this part of the world, like you mentioned Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's time, there was political will to get things done.
Yeah.
And if you check anywhere globally, when there is a political will, things happen faster than where there are. When there is a political will, there are resources. Sometimes things here gets done faster than when there are resources and there are no political will.
Sure.
So here, I think that what the Nkrumahs did then, we still have far better technology, like my sisters mentioned now. We have far more advanced technology to get these things done in a better shape than the Nkrumahs did. But one major thing that we still lack now in almost every part of Africa, I wouldn't say every, because Eastern Africa is kind of getting different, like you mentioned. Uganda now uses drones and things. Kenya uses more of that. South Africa also. But a majority part of Africa is the political will that is missing.
Sure.
The political will is highly missing there.
All right, there. If you just joined us, African Student Voice on AAU TV, as we always say, that we want to inform you to transform you. And we're discussing how can we modernize agric to attract the youth of Africa. And believe me, it's getting interesting. How can we make this happen? Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll be talking about what do we expect as young people or as youth in agric before we can get into it. Hello there and welcome back to Africans to the Voice on AUTV. As I always say, we want to inform you, transform you. Let's go back to our discussion on modernizing agric. So, Ade, let me start with you on this one. We now know that the youths are really enthused about social media. That's where we are all the time. So we're posting and posting, watching and watching. How can we now link, so in attracting the youth right now, how can we link agric into social media?
It's about lucrativity.
Sure.
Anywhere the youth sees money, they go. So we made the youth believe that there is money under the soil where we extract the oil from.
Sure.
And everybody, average youth right now, like if you get a job in an oil company, you have to do Thanksgiving in your church. You know that because we believe that there is money in that aspect. So it's about orientating the youth. You have to reorientate the entire youth. So I know a lot of African nations has National Orientation Agency, but they tend to be dead for 4 years until election time. That's when they do orientation for you. That's go and vote, go and vote. But after you finish voting, the orientation agency dies again. But if you can orientate the youth, the ones in the school, the ones outside school, because not every graduate will be in the sector. The sector still provide rooms for people who are not graduates. Yeah. So we need to shift that thing. Like, agriculture is not a social sector. It's a real sector. It's a sector that can be the most productive sector of your economy. It has the capacity. Look at the chocolate economy in the world. Unfortunately, in Ghana, we only export raw cocoa. Imagine if Ghana focuses on production of chocolate and coffee only on an industrial scale. Ghana will not be borrowing money from IMF and World Bank. But we all know what our problem is. But going forward, I think we need to orientate the youth and let them see the value in that part of the economy. And not just making them see the value without providing the things that will make it work. The schools need to train them to be practically oriented, making them see the real things they can do, things they can. That is even, is when you are agriculture oriented, it kind of even decongests the entire city, especially the capital city.
Yes.
Because you know that you need to be as where land is.
Sure.
And if your business is in Tamale, you wouldn't live fully in Accra. So, I mean, it makes us see value in rural areas, and then the communities cannot come together and fix all these rural area issues. Sure. So, number one thing is to what? Re-educate the youth, let them see value. There are values in the agricultural sector. It's not about just production of rice. In Nigeria right now, there is this campaign about we are producing our own rice.
Yes.
I know it's good to start from there, but there are other sectors. Look at the cotton the cotton aspect of agriculture itself. Sure. In the 1940s, the 1950s, and the 60s, West African nations were fully into that. But suddenly the oil came and we all just forgot everything that has to do with common sense. So, number one, we need to feed ourselves. Number two, we need to make sure that the youth see the economic value of these things. But without opening their mentality to the value in the agriculture sector, we are going nowhere. Great.
Joyce, you are Women Commissioner for Private Universities in Ghana. Sure. Let's look at how we educate ourselves in there. Everybody attends a private school and wants to end up in the corporate environment. How do we strengthen our higher educations in Africa, both states and private, to put inside the minds of every graduate or every student in there that, listen, even though you are studying accounting or finance or whatever, management, administration, you still must understand that agric is everybody's area to venture. How do we do that?
I think that we can start putting agric lesson in the syllabus or the lesson books that is given to the schools. We can start from the primary, high education, and then the tertiary aspect by making the agric subject a compulsory one, irrespective of the level you are, you would have to go through that and give it as a project to each individual student. You know, when you are given a project to do, you have to go and do research.
Sure.
And the research can make the students, you know, eye-open on the agric sector to know the secrets in it, the benefits that individual can get. The person who, or the student who have interest in being in that sector because he or she herself have seen it, have read it, have known what is in there. Exactly. Not that someone is going to educate him or her into going into agric. Okay, so I think that if there is a project to work on agric aspect for the individual student, and even the institution having, you know, a land for practicals, and even equipment for practical work, it will make the individual students or schools appreciate the agric more. And so coming out from the school, you know that, okay, I have, you know, a skill in agriculture to go and do, to have my own job, instead of coming to be on the, you know, looking for job queue, you know, being on that queue. So that's what I think we should do.
You know, there was this vox pop we had at the university campus, and everybody's view was agric in Africa now is more of antique way. The conditions that lies on our agric, the image of Africa's agriculture, is not too well to invite them. So the question is, how well can we make our agricultural system in Africa much more technological, so that the graduate or the young African out there would feel comfortable and confident to be there? Ade?
It still goes back to what she's saying, that sometimes these people are so lazy that the only information they have at their disposal is what goes on Facebook. There are lots of things in the system. You see, our system is controlled by knowledge and ignorance. Some people does not want you to be aware of some things going on so that you don't have access to them. So there are lots of technologies in the system. I know that some of these schools does not take it upon themselves to kind of, you know, expose their students to some of the things that are available. But I don't expect you to also go to school and limit yourself to one place. If the things you need to explore, your capabilities, does not exist in your environment, you have the liberty to go to other places and explore. If what you need is not in Accra, go to Kumasi. If what you need is not in Kumasi, go to Lagos in Nigeria, go to Kenya. That's why we're Africans. But the lack they're talking about is not just in agriculture. Go and check all the systems. We all know how teachers have been respected in other parts of the world. But look at here. Professors earn less than maybe a municipal chairman, a professor of a university. So how much do they pay insurance people in this country? Sometimes when you go to bank and bankers are angry at you, it's not because of the situation. Sometimes the person is on debt already on the 21st of the month. So are we really value-oriented people? And I think the government also needs to play their role effectively. I think the government wants to solve every problem by themselves. No, they are getting it wrong. Problem is a monitoring agent. The government is a monitoring agent. They should just monitor these sectors. They should make these sectors independent so that all of them can kind of develop their own value, without limits. Not when government puts very intense regulations on them and everybody knows what the professor should earn, everybody knows, running like one kind of a communist kind of society.
And then what do you expect government to do in your own, if you were to enter farming, knowing for yourself the conditions out there, what do you expect to be put out there?
Number one thing is the land rule should be clear.
Okay.
It shouldn't be, this land belongs to, okay, I've owned this land, and government will tell me later that there's supposed to be a major road that passed my land, whereby I have a 20-year plan on that land for farming and things. So land ownership needs to be clear. We have a lot of problem in that. South Africa, West Africa, East Africa especially. So the land reform needs to, we don't like having that kind of conversation because we don't want to offend the traditional rulers and the people of the land in any part of Africa here. But we need to have this kind of conversation. This land from here belongs to these people. Here belongs to that people. So land ownership needs to be clear. That is one of the major challenges. That's why people do not want to come and invest in agriculture in this part of the world. Some of them just want to kind of leverage on some of the lacks we have in our system. But the land issue needs to be solved. That's number one. Number two, there should be access to fund. I'm less than 30. I don't want to walk to a bank for a fund to kind of assist my agricultural program. And the bank will be telling me to go and bring something that not even a 50 years old we have. Simply because they don't want to give me, but they can't say that they don't want to give me. So the bank also needs to reshape themselves and see where the investments go. But the government does not really care as long as the money is available for their own contract. So government needs to monitor and orientate the banks to where are your money going to. Also, the higher institutions, like you said, we need to kind of train the students to be result-oriented. listen, these are the values in rice. These are the values in tomatoes. These are the values in cocoa. So government should, I know that a lot of them are working on that. Ghana, Kenya, they're trying to kind of deregularize some of their policies to make farming, to make agriculture investment quite comfortable for anybody who's interested. But there are still some basic things like infrastructure. Because I can't farm in Accra. I can't farm in 37. So if I'm farming in Insawam, I should be able to move my things to the market. So market accessibility, we need to get that right. So policy, market accessibility, training, and land reform. I think those are the 4 major things that I think government has to work on.
Joyce, the issue of land reform, I did mention, should there be this strategic, deliberate effort by governments in Africa saying that we have seen the gap, we've seen the number of students, graduates who are out there doing nothing, unemployed, and we want to absorb them into agriculture. We want to develop this new system whereby lands are going to be allocated or designated officially for young graduates who want to farm. They will be given the right training, they'll be given the appropriate funds they need to go into any crop that's legitimate crops, basically. Farm for a number of years, make your profits, own your lands, leave that land to be there for those who don't have the funds to also come farm, make their money, go acquire their own lands, and continue. Wouldn't that be a big problem solver for the entire continent? Because owning the land, as you mentioned, is one of the biggest issues. That capital is not there. What do we do?
Exactly. It is true, and it is possible for the government to come up with such policy, because owning a land, like you said, is the biggest challenge now in Africa. You'll be amazed the price they will mention for you to acquire one small piece of land to go into farming. But if government is able to, get land and, demarcate it for young ones, give them a little fund to support them, it will be attractive. People will want to go into it. Sure. But the one major and big problem that Africans have is the road network. Okay. You've been given the land, all right. You've been given funds to, cultivate the land and get the product. But how to get the product to the market, like my brother Adebayo said, it's a problem, it's a challenge. Cars and lorries cannot go to the farmland to get the product to the market because of bad road. Yeah. Some even don't have the road network at all. And you see farmers making noise about it. But the issue is not still resolved. Sure. And so if you give lands, students access to lands and funds, and they don't get good road network to get the products to the market, the challenge will still be the same. Okay. And so we should rather focus on getting government to, work on this road network, make the, workers or the farmers. I don't want to use farmers because
whatever value you put on an agripreneur, agribusinessman or woman, you are so into farming.
You're still into farming. Yeah, that's the thing.
So that those into farming will have access to the market. Sure. And when that happens, we have now social media, about 20 million of people, like everybody is on social media. And so imagine people making huge profits because they are able to get their products to the market easily. And people are able to purchase it. They are making their money. It will be all over. All right. People will start talking about it. Right. Social media will take it up. Sure. And youth want to go to where they will get money. So the greater problem is the road networks and how to get funds to the youth.
Sure. I think that we've made a great point, but it's not about it. Modernizing calls for a lot of things. The access to lands, government policies, and the youth. It is about time we learn to appreciate what has been done already in agriculture. Let's find out. Let's not wait to find things happen. Things are really happening, we ought to find out. Let's find these agricultural innovations on social media and stop looking at things we don't really matter on social media. Agric matters. So, Joyce, you have to promote your event.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Sure. The Women Commission is coming up with blood donation exercise. the motive is saving a life, okay? So we want to use the communities that we belong to, because every community have university, private university to be precise. And so one community, one university. The blood bank is suffering.
Okay.
Let's help save it. Every week, statistics shows that 100 units to 150 units of blood is being demanded or given out to people. Pregnant women are dying. We are losing students because of lack of blood. Let's all come together. Students, wherever you are, when we come to your campus, come out in your numbers and donate blood to save a life. It might not be you today, but tomorrow you might be the one in need of blood, and you can get it. We have to come together to save life. Blood donation is actually helping in terms of health. Yes, but people don't know about it.
That's true.
Yes. It's anti-aging. You know, it helps.
I'm a regular donor. Are you a donor?
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I did that.
Donate.
Please.
I think I need to.
Please, you have to donate.
For this one,
You have to.
I will have to.
All right, so it's very important. Joyce is the event. As a blood donation is coming on quite soon. You have to make it a habit to donate blood. Agriculture is doing their best to also donate blood. So today's show is really, really interesting as we talk about how to become modernized agric for the youth in Africa and how we could attract them also to agriculture. Now, if you're out there and you don't know what's happening, please do well. Or you go to social media, try and find out the new things which are happening in agric so far as Africa is concerned. Maybe you have to know what's happening. I want to urge us all to shift our attention from the corporate environment to agric. That is our future. Thank you very much for your time for watching and your comments and questions coming in. My name is Ajimo Chodako, your host, and I would like to catch you next time on your show, African Student Voices. As we always will want to inform you to transform the continent. See you and next time. Bye.